There is a quiet storm brewing inside the halls of Berea right now, and it has nothing to do with the big names you are seeing on every mock draft. While the world is focused on the wide receiver room and those glaring holes on the offensive line, the front office is looking at a specific weapon that could reset the entire dynamic of this offense. We are talking about a move that signals a massive shift in how the depth chart will look come August. Something is about to break, and it involves a secret workout that just happened. Cash Jones is the name that is suddenly lighting up the internal discussions at the Cleveland Browns facility after a private workout was officially scheduled. The Georgia running back has been flying under the radar for most of the draft cycle, but his recent pro day performance changed everything. We're talking about a kid who clocked a blazing 4.38 40-yard dash, showing the kind of elite speed that this backfield has been missing since some of our veterans departed. Now, don't get me wrong, we know the Browns have been hosting a heavy rotation of wideouts, but the interest in Jones tells a much deeper story about the concerns within the current running back room. The staff is clearly looking for more than just a body. They want a rotational weapon that can thrive on passing downs. When you look at the numbers from last year, there is a real reason to be nervous. Jerome Ford is gone, and while we have young players like Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, the efficiency simply was not there. Judkins struggled to stay above 3.6 yards per carry, and Sampson was even lower at 2.7. That is not championship-level production. By bringing in Jones for a private workout, the Browns are signaling that the number 3 spot on the depth chart is wide open, and the competition is going to be fierce. Jones has caught 44 passes over the last 2 seasons in the SEC, showing he is a natural fit for a modern NFL offense that demands versatility from the backfield. But here is where it gets really interesting for the Cleveland faithful. This isn't just about a fast kid from Texas finding a home in the AFC North. There is a deep personal connection already sitting in the coach's room that makes this move feel almost inevitable. This isn't just another draft prospect being evaluated through a lens of statistics and film. This is about a specific history and a level of comfort that most rookies never get when they walk through those doors for the first time. The team is looking for a spark, and they might have found it in a player who knows exactly what is expected of him before he even takes a snap in a Browns uniform. But what if this speedster is just the beginning of a much larger trend? If you are a real Browns fan who follows every single visit to Berea, then you know these private workouts are never just for show. The front office is being very calculated with their time right now, especially with the draft fast approaching. You need to stay ahead of these roster moves before the national media catches on. Make sure you are subscribed and have those notifications on so you don't miss the next internal leak. I have to ask you, do you think adding a speedster like Cash Jones fixes our short yardage concerns, or are we ignoring the line? Todd Monken is the secret architect behind this potential reunion, and his influence on this draft board cannot be overstated. Before Monken became a key figure in our offensive strategy, he was calling the shots at Georgia, where he coached Cash Jones during the running back's first 2 collegiate seasons. This is not a coincidence. Monken knows exactly how to utilize an undersized, explosive back in space, and he has already seen what Jones can do against elite SEC competition. But this connection goes even deeper than just one player. The Browns facility has been looking like a Georgia Bulldogs alumni meeting lately. We have seen tight end Oscar Delp and offensive tackle Monroe Freeling also making their way to Berea for top 30 visits. Even the former quarterback Carson Beck was on the radar during the Combine. It seems Monken is looking back at his championship days in Athens to find the pieces that will solidify the culture here in Cleveland. But what if I told you this isn't even the biggest problem the Browns are trying to solve? While the Monken connection provides a level of safety, the pressure on the current rookies is mounting. If Jones comes in and excels, it puts players like Dylan Sampson and even Raheem Sanders on a very short leash. The front office is tired of seeing 0 rushing touchdowns from the backup positions. They want explosive plays, and they want them now. By leaning on Monken's former players, the Browns are attempting to bypass the typical rookie learning curve. They want guys who already speak the language of this offense. This creates a high-stakes environment where chemistry is prioritized over raw draft position. However, this strategy carries a massive risk. If we focus too much on familiarity, are we passing up on higher ceiling talent just because they didn't play in Athens? The tension between sticking to what you know and taking a gamble on a new system is palpable right now. Every time a new Bulldog prospect walks into that building, the rest of the roster feels the heat. The urgency to find a reliable third back has turned a late-round target into a focal point of the pre-draft process. We are watching the fingerprints of the coaching staff being pressed firmly onto the roster construction in a way we haven't seen in years. This is about more than just depth. It is about building a specific offensive identity under Monken's vision. The Cleveland front office now faces a critical crossroads that will define the efficiency of this offense for the next 2 years. On one hand, they can stick to the current plan and hope that the sophomores like Judkins and Sampson find their rhythm after a disappointing showing last season. This approach maintains continuity but risks another year of stagnant rushing production when the starters need a breather. On the other hand, the Browns can go all in on the Cash Jones experiment. Selecting him on day 3 or bringing him in as a priority free agent would immediately challenge the status quo. It would signify that no one's job is safe, and that speed is the new currency in Berea. The impact of this decision stretches far beyond the running back room. If Jones becomes a reliable third-down threat, it opens up the playbook for the wide receivers who struggled to find the end zone last year. We saw those wideouts combine for only 4 touchdowns, which is frankly embarrassing for a professional unit. Jones provides a safety valve that can turn a broken play into a first down using that 4.38 speed. However, if the Browns spend draft capital on a niche rotational back, they might be ignoring the lingering vacancies on the offensive line that were left after free agency. It is a classic battle of philosophy. Do you fix the engine, or do you find a faster driver? The clock is ticking toward the draft weekend, and the interest from teams like the Falcons and Broncos means the Browns cannot afford to wait. If they want their man, they have to be aggressive. The strategic context here is simple. The Browns are in a win-now window. They don't have time for developmental projects that might pan out in 3 years. They need players who can contribute on special teams and high-leverage situations immediately. Jones fits that mold perfectly because of his familiarity with the system and his specific skill set. But adding him means someone we liked last year is likely getting cut. The roster crunch is real, and the decision made on draft night will tell us exactly how much the organization trusts the current staff's ability to develop talent versus their desire to simply go out and buy the specific traits they are missing right now. This is where the real work happens, far away from the bright lights of Sunday afternoon. Ultimately, being a fan of this team means understanding that the smallest moves often carry the heaviest consequences. We aren't just looking at a third-string running back. We are looking at the evolution of an offense that has to find a way to score more than 4 touchdowns through the air and more than a handful on the ground. The pursuit of Cash Jones is a testament to the fact that this organization knows the current situation is unacceptable. There is a sense of urgency in Berea that you only feel when a team knows they are close to something special, but are missing those final few pieces. Whether it is a reunion with Todd Monken or simply a need for pure, unadulterated speed, the interest in this Georgia prospect proves that the Browns are turning over every stone. It reflects a mindset that is restless and unsatisfied. As fans, we have been through the lean years, and we know what it looks like when a front office is just guessing. This feels different. This feels like a surgical strike to address a specific weakness. But as always in the NFL, the draft is a gamble, and the stakes in Cleveland have never been higher. We are standing on the edge of a season where every yard and every rotation will be under the microscope. If this team is going to compete in the toughest division in football, they need players who play bigger than their size and faster than the defense. Jones represents that hope, but he also represents the uncertainty of the draft process. We have to trust that the insider connections and the years of shared history between the coach and the player will translate into wins on the field. The identity of the Dawg Pound is built on grit and finding those hidden gems that other teams overlook. Now, I want to hear from the real fans who have been following this journey. Do you believe that reuniting Monken with his former players is the key to unlocking this offense, or are we putting too much stock into the past? Should we be focusing our day 3 picks on the trenches instead of another rotational back? This is your team, and your voice matters in this conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments below because the road to the Super Bowl starts with these small, calculated moves in April. Let's get the discussion started.